Hello, welcome to the session on National Policy on ICT in School Education. Information and Communication Technologies (ICT) are defined as all devices, tools, content, resources, forums and services, digital and those that can be converted into or delivered through digital forms, which can be deployed for realizing the goals of teaching, learning, enhancing access to and reach of resources, building of capacities as well as management of the educational system. These will not only include hardware devices connected to computers and software applications, but also interactive digital content, internet and other satellite communication devices, radio and television services, web-based content repositories, interactive forums, learning management systems, and management information systems. These will also include processes for digitalization, deployment and management of content, development and deployment of platforms and processes for capacity development, and creation of forums for interaction and exchange. The National Policy on Education 1986, as modified in 1992, stressed the need to employ educational technology to improve the quality of education. The policy statement led to two major centrally sponsored schemes, namely Educational Technology (ET) and Computer Literacy and Studies in Schools (CLAS), paving the way for a more comprehensive centrally sponsored scheme, Information and Communication Technology at Schools in 2004. Educational technology also found a significant place in another scheme on upgradation of science education. Significant role ICT can play in school education has also been highlighted in the National Curriculum Framework NCF 2005. Use of ICT for quality improvement also figures in Government of India's flagship program on education, Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan. Again, ICT has figured comprehensively in the norm of schooling recommended by the Central Advisory Board of Education (CABE) in its report on universal secondary education in 2005. With the convergence of technologies, it has become imperative to take a comprehensive look at all possible information and communication technologies for improving school education in the country. The comprehensive choice of ICT for holistic development of education can be built only on a sound policy. The initiative of ICT policy in school education is inspired by the tremendous potential of ICT for enhancing outreach and improving quality of education. This policy endeavors to provide guidelines to assist the states in optimizing the use of ICT in school education within a national policy framework. The ICT policy in school education aims at preparing youth to participate creatively in the establishment, sustenance and growth of a knowledge society, leading to all-round socio-economic development of the nation and global competitiveness. The mission of the policy is to devise, catalyze, support and sustain ICT and ICT-enabled activities and processes in order to improve access, quality and efficiency in the school system. To achieve the above, the ICT policy in school education will endeavor to create an environment to develop a community knowledge about ICT, to create an ICT literate community which can deploy, utilize, benefit from ICT and contribute to nation building, to create an environment of collaboration, cooperation and sharing conducive to the creation of a demand for optimal utilization of and optimum returns on the potentials of ICT in education, to promote universal, equitable, open and free access to a state-of-the-art ICT and ICT-enabled tools and resources to all students and teachers, to promote development of local and localized quality content and to enable students and teachers to partner in the development and critical use of shared digital resources. To promote development of professional networks of teachers, resource persons in schools, to catalyze and support resource sharing, upgradation and continuing education of teachers, guidance, counseling and academic support to students, and resource sharing, management and networking of school managers and administrators, resulting in improved efficiencies in the schooling process. To promote research, evaluation and experimentation in ICT tools and ICT-enabled practices in order to inform, guide and utilize the potentials of ICT in school education. To promote a critical understanding of ICT, its benefits, dangers and limitations. And finally, to motivate and enable wider participation of all sections of the society in strengthening the school education process through appropriate utilization of ICT. ICT in school education. Concerns of reach and access to education continue to attract widespread attention of all segments of the society. Following sustained initiatives spread over many decades, the country can today boast of perhaps one of the largest ever schooling systems. With increase throughout and ever-increasing numbers of students aspiring for higher education, concerns of equity in education and issues of quality have also begun to attract attention. The challenge of developing alternate modes of education, continuing education, teacher capacity building, information systems for efficient management of the school system are being addressed. With ICTs becoming more accessible, reliable and mature, the prospect of leveraging ICT for education is becoming increasingly feasible. ICTs have enabled the convergence of a wide array of technology-based and technology-mediated resources for teaching learning. It has therefore become possible to employ ICT as an omnibus support system for education. The potential of ICT to respond to various challenges the Indian education system poses are: ICT can be beneficially leveraged to disseminate information about and catalyze adaptation, adoption, translation and distribution of sparse educational resources distributed across various media and forms. This will help promote its widespread availability and extensive use. There is an urgent need to digitalize and make available educational audio and video resources which exist in different languages, media standards and formats. Given the scarcity of print resources as well as web content in Indian languages, ICT can be very gainfully employed for digitalizing and disseminating existing print resources like books, documents, handouts, charts and posters which have been used extensively in the school system in order to enhance its reach and use. ICT can address teacher capacity building, ongoing teacher support and strengthen the school system's ability to manage and improve efficiencies which have been difficult to address so far due to the size of the school system and the limited reach of conventional methods of training and support. Using computers and the internet as mere information delivery devices grossly underutilizes its power and capabilities. There is an urgent need to develop and deploy a large variety of applications, software tools, media and interactive devices in order to promote creative, aesthetic, analytical and problem-solving abilities and sensitivities in students and teachers. ICT literacy and competency enhancement. The policy defines ICT literacy in terms of levels of competence. Based on the stage of schooling at which a student or a teacher is introduced to ICT, they may progress to different levels. These levels are suggestive and adaptations must be made to suit local conditions. The levels do not correspond to specific classes, for example, 6th or 7th standard, and time duration also must be locally determined. Also, these levels must be revised periodically to keep pace with changing technology. Stage 1 Basic. Basics of computers and basic use of tools and techniques. Operate a computer, store, retrieve and manage data. Use a computer to achieve basic word and data processing tasks. Connect, disconnect and troubleshoot basic storage, input and output devices. Stage 2 Intermediate. Create and manage content using a variety of software applications and digital devices, using websites and search engines to locate, retrieve and manage content, tools and resources, install, uninstall and troubleshoot simple software applications, etc. Stage 3 Advanced. Use different software applications to enhance one's own learning, database applications, analysis of data and problem solving, computing, design, graphical and audiovisual communication, undertake research and carry out projects using web resources, use ICT for documentation and presentation, create and participate in web-based networks for cooperative and collaborative learning, becoming aware of issues of cybersecurity, copyright and safe use of ICT and take necessary steps to protect oneself and ICT resources. As each stage is defined by competencies to be achieved, the pace is dependent on frequency of access to the ICT facilities. Based on the local situation, the time duration needed for each stage will be shortened. Different parts of each stage can also run concurrently. In any case, an attempt will be made to ensure every student completes the advanced stage before completing schooling. The competencies will also guide ICT curricula for teachers. ICT for school management. States need to adopt or adapt an e-governance and automated school administration program for schools, build capabilities for its implementation and deploy school-based management information systems, MIS. These MIS will be integrated with the proposed state-wide web-based school education management information system. A school-wide local area network enables automation of a variety of processes, beginning with library automation, locally cached offline access to internet resources, office automation, maintenance of records, student tracking, resource planning. Using the existing ICT infrastructure will increase efficiencies. At the same time, savings in cost, time and effort will also accrue. The school-wide local area network will be used to facilitate this automation. School Management Information System, School MIS, is a single window clearing house on all information related to the secondary school system. The information will facilitate research and analysis activities and guide decision making at different levels in the education system, contributing to enhanced efficiencies. The scope of information to be collated by the MIS will be broad and include student and teacher tracking, particularly for their academic needs. The norms will also define standards of technology, including language fonts, word processors, technical dictionaries, etc. Open standards facilitating universal access to information, content and resources will be ensured. The states will establish state-of-the-art, appropriate, cost-effective and adequate ICT and other enabling infrastructure in all secondary schools. Based on the size of the school, needs of the ICT program and time-sharing possibilities, states will define an optimum ICT infrastructure in each school. Not more than 2 students will work at a computer access point at a given time. At least 1 printer, scanner, projector, digital camera, audio recorders and such other devices will be part of the infrastructure. Each school will be equipped with at least 1 computer laboratory with at least 10 networked computer access points to begin with. Each laboratory will have a maximum of 20 access points, accommodating 40 students at a time. The ratio of total number of access points to the population of the school will be regulated to ensure optimal access to all students and teachers. In composite schools, exclusive laboratories with appropriate hardware and software will be provided for the secondary as well as higher secondary classes. In addition, at least one classroom will be equipped with appropriate audio-visual facilities to support an ICT-enabled teaching learning. The appropriate hardware for satellite terminals will be provided to selected schools in a progressive manner. ICT-enabled education can be significantly enhanced and the range of classroom practices expanded with the introduction of digital devices like still and video cameras, music and audio devices, digital microscopes and telescopes, digital probes for investigation of various physical parameters. These will also form a part of the infrastructure. States will make appropriate choices and promote the use of such devices in the classroom. Models for ICT infrastructure: build, own, operate and transfer BOOT models for ICT infrastructure may be used to maximize convergence of the program in schools in the shortest possible time. Different combinations of services like equipment only and equipment plus manpower will be tried out, and appropriate combination based on feasibility and cost effectiveness adopted by the states. Based on prevailing depreciation and obsolescence norms, the state may also choose to use a build-on and operate model to avoid out-of-date or obsolete equipment in schools. In view of increasing capabilities of regular teachers in integrating ICT and capacity building programs for teachers, an attempt will be made by states to phase out the requirements of a separate teacher for ICT, except at the +2 level where ICT is introduced as a separate subject. The state will avoid and phase out outsourcing of teacher requirement to BOOT agencies. States will explore the possibilities of sharing the infrastructure partly or wholly with the community to extend education or train youth after school hours or similar purposes. Care will be taken to ensure that such usage does not compromise the school's educational or ICT programs. The BOOT agency and/or the school may also utilize it for augmentation of resources. States will try out and establish appropriate community partnership models for optimum utilization of infrastructure and resources while ensuring safety of school property. Network and connectivity. All computers in the school should be part of a single local area network to enable optimum sharing of resources. In addition to the laboratory, internet connections will also be provided at the library, teachers' common room and the school head's office. Each school will be serviced with broadband connectivity capable of receiving streaming audio and video, a range of digital learning resources and interactive programs. Number of computers given internet connectivity will be governed by the available bandwidth in order to ensure adequate speeds. A mechanism to have offline access to internet content will be set. Teachers and students will be educated on issues related to safe use of internet firewalls, and other security measures will be implemented to guard the school network against cyber attacks and misuse of the ICT facilities. Appropriate guidelines for network security will be developed. Why do we need a national policy on ICT in school education? Most developing countries do not have a concerted policy on ICT in school education. The reasons can be many. They have decided that they do not need a separate policy on ICT's education, already have an IT policy with sections on education, or have a telecom policy which has reference to both IT and education. The mere establishment of a written national ICT policy for school education has value in itself. even though it is quite clear that ICT policies do not and cannot exist in isolation. They have to take into account a range of other policies and existing frameworks such as educational policies, information policies, trade and investment policies, and cultural and linguistic policies. At a minimum, it conveys the message that the government is progressive and intends to pursue the utilization of ICT in society seriously. Governments, because of their inevitable role in policy making, should assume a leadership role in the implementation of ICTs in schools. They must aspire to become role models by putting policy into practice and creating sustainable mechanisms to keep the policy updated and dynamic so that it can keep pace with the fast changing technology in the business world. So, why do we need a specific policy on ICT in school education? While there can be several reasons for this, some of the most plausible reasons are: a national policy on ICT in school education will enable the country's government and its people to develop and participate in an envisioning exercise that provides a prelude to where we are headed with all this investment. It will help channelize government funding and the taxpayers' money into sustainable mechanisms of educational development which are likely to benefit generations of schoolgoers. A national policy on ICT in school education will perhaps have to provide a linkage with the country's national educational goals and enhance existing educational policies and frameworks. Traditional educational delivery mechanisms are not meant to suddenly encourage incorporation of technology tools. Deep-rooted, systematic changes have to be made so that the country's education system can adopt and adapt to new age technology tools. This requires thorough assessment of the existing systems and a clear understanding on the capacity to which they can adapt to change. The policy development process, if it is an open one, will throw up all these challenges and seek to address these issues. Failure of most ICT pilot programs to mainstream, scale up or sustain is caused by the single factor of not being linked to the overarching larger educational priorities of the country. A national policy on ICTs in the school education will encourage new technology tools to be used in teaching and learning. This will help in knowledge creation and knowledge sharing among key stakeholders and community of practitioners. ICTs are all about new collaborative learning tools and having free and open access to information. Undoubtedly, technology can succeed in influencing outreach, access, and creating new tools for learning and teaching, but these are less likely to emerge on their own without the support of sustainable frameworks and policies. According to the feasibility report by McKinsey and Company, the essence of the challenge is to transform today's fragmented, supply-driven, largely uncoordinated pilot efforts for ICT in education into efficient, demand-driven, coordinated, end-to-end systems implemented by strong partnerships involving all key players. Let me now move on to summarize the discussion. India today aspires to emerge as front runner among the knowledge-based societies. Thus, the benefits of ICT revolution in providing education and training of desirable quality can hardly be overemphasized. Focus has been to provide universal access, equity, and ensure provision of quality elementary education. Universalization of access has nearly been achieved. Investment in this sector has resulted in satisfactory outcomes. 94% of our rural populations have a school within 1 square kilometer. The gross enrollment ratio has improved to 108.56 in 2004 to 2005 from 96.30 in 2001 to 2002 at primary level and to 70.51 from 52.09 at upper primary level during same period. The dropout rate at the primary level has reduced by 10.50%, that is 28.49 in 2004 to 2005 from 39.03 in 2001 to 2002. Use of technology in the classroom transactions has gained impetus in the form of computer-aided learning in many states. The challenge ahead is to provide universal access, equity and quality at the secondary stage. As educational indicators are not very encouraging at the moment, the responsibility is now to ensure substantial investment to improve the current scenario at the earliest. Use of technology by students at the secondary stage presupposes their strength in terms of knowledge and skill development. As internet has become more and more accessible, the world of information and innovations have become more accessible today. Hope today's session was enriching. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.